Have you ever wondered how to get a juniper to backbud? This is a video about getting a juniper bonsai to backbud. First of all, this is an Itoigawa Juniper. I pruned it heavily last year. I completely restyled it. This is actually a side branch. The top was coming from here and was sitting here. I cut it all off, I rewired and I placed it. And now you see that all these branches here are very bare, and I would very much like to get buds on these branches. What do I do? Well, for the next couple of weeks or even months, I'm not going to do anything. Thing is, if you take a juniper and you keep on pruning, which you would normally do with a deciduous bonsai, it doesn't trigger backbudding. It actually weakens the tree. And backbudding in a juniper occurs when a tree is strong and healthy. When is a tree strong and healthy? If we allow it to extend. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave this as it is. I'm not going to pluck it. I'm not going to trim it. I'm just going to fertilize it, water it, and let it grow. And once I get extensions like this or longer on every single branch that I have here, and I must say many of them are already very close, only then am I considering pruning back. At that time I should be seeing tiny little green points in all the elbows of these branches. I can aid that by cleaning out these branches, and that I will do in a week or two. I'll clean up the bark, make sure that the bark has all the old stuff removed and therefore is light sensitive. If there's light on the bark and the bark is light sensitive, you've removed the old stuff and the branches are growing strongly. There's fertilizer and there's water and it is in full sun. That is when you get a juniper to backbud. Now we are not there yet, but it is September, and what you see here now between the dead needles, you see this little green dot, that is a backbud. But more importantly, look at what's happening here. There's a tiny little backbud also on this old yellowing branch. That means that once this is strong enough, you can remove this whole thing and the branch becomes a lot shorter. Of course, I don't need it here because I've got this whole cluster here in the front that I can build my branches with. But this is the proof of concept. You just allow your tree to grow stronger and then you get backbuds. Let me search a little bit more. It is September. There should be more now. This is one of the runners in the top of the tree. But here you see there's a new branch in the elbow. There's a new branch in the elbow. There's a small new branch here. And all the way down here, I hope you can still see it, but there's also a tiny little bud forming. So that means that all this ugly foliage can at some point be replaced by just these new branches as they mature. And that can be aided by pruning off here. Then the inner buds here will start developing faster. But it is September already. I don't want to trigger the tree into growing more. I wanted to go slowly, thinking about dormancy for winter. And talking about winter, I'm not going to do very much to this tree for the next couple of months. I might at some point do a proper cleanup. I've already removed some of these yellowing branches, but then I find little green tips that are actually growing buds. So I'm going to leave it a little bit longer on here. This still needs to get some backbuds here on the inside. So I'm allowing this to extend even further, and next year I'll do a bigger prune of this tree. Somewhere over winter might show a little update of this tree, or I just post it as is. Now this is where the magic is happening. You see at all these elbows, all these junctions, there is now little growth popping up. And this is on the one hand an option to prune the whole branch back to this. Or I can take it out and just strengthen this. For now I'm just going to leave it in place. I'm not pruning anything except for things that hang down, that I take away. But this is a choice that you have to make sooner or later. If you leave these in place, then this will get weaker. So either decide you're going to cut back or remove this growth once it is really strong. Once it is getting really strong. And this little backbud right there is where you can cut back to once this is healthy again. So then I can just clip it off here and this will create my new pad. That will still have a few old needles, but that's fine. Scale foliage will grow out soon enough. And the same here, you have a few branches here and I'm going to look for one that is short with scale foliage and I'll just remove everything else. Of course you don't do a massive pruning at a time. You just remove these long runners that have formed, make one snip here and then this is gone. And you do that throughout the tree. So this is basically it. You let the branches grow really strong, and then by itself you already see the first buds appearing. If that is starting to happen and it is still nice in the middle of the growing season, you can prune back then, or you wait until the next spring when the tree is pushing. Once everything starts growing, you take the long runners out, and then you get loads and loads of new buds on the inside. But first you need to get heavy subflow in the branches. The tree needs to start triggering those buds themselves. Then pruning aids in further development of backbuds. If the tree is weak and you prune, then you won't get a response at all. So let your tree grow every once in a while if you want a very solid backbudding response and you want to rebuild your branches. More information about propagating a juniper you'll find here. More information about foliage maintenance you'll find there. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you are subscribed, and if not, I hope you like down below that this video is something you found interesting. Leave me a comment if you don't think so, or if you do, and otherwise, see you next time. Keep growing bonsai. This was Jelle.